Hey, what's going on, guys? Pete here with MixBetterNow.com. It is Monday, the 12th of June. It's Mix Critique Monday. You know the deal. All right, new Monday, new week, new mixes. We got stuff on deck from Roy Sahadooen, from Amaral Fortes, Liam Hamer, and Stuart Wallace, okay? First one up is Dark Ride by Hammer Down, mixed by Stuart Wallace. But before we jump into it, just so you guys know, if you're new to Mix Critique Monday, I just want to say welcome. Mix Critique Monday is a platform for you to get free mix critiques, to get another set of ears on your work, okay? I just want to let you know that everything I say on here is all constructive criticism. Everything is in a 100% positive manner. My goal is to help you. I want you to get the best mixes possible. So anything that I say, any critique, any criticism I have is all positive with the best intentions, with your best intentions in mind, all right? So just know that. All the instructions for submissions are below in the description box, guys, so just read them down there. It's that easy, okay? So we're just going to jump into it. First up here, we have Dark Ride by Hammer Down. This is mixed by Stuart Wallace. Let's check it out. Okay, I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. Let's, I used to, as I said last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, what I used to do is I used to go through and I would level match things, like level balance on the K14 system here on the metering built into Studio One. So I would come to the K14 meter here and try and have everything hovering around 0. But first of all, that's not always the case in terms of loudness. Some stuff might just sound louder than others. And the flip side is, I wasn't giving you guys accurate feedback in terms of if your stuff was too loud or too quiet. So I want to leave everything at the normal volume without doing any stuff until we need to. So we're gonna turn this one up a little bit. All right, I want to get this kind of hanging out around the 0 on the K14 here. So real quick, I'm just gonna pop to a loud part. Okay, just wanted to turn that up a little bit. We'll go back to where we just left off. Just one thing I want to point out is that initial boom. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this a little bit. Let me go ahead and turn my phone off too. Turn my notifications off. Man, I'm slagging today, huh? Yeah, so we'll zoom in on this a little bit here. And so this little intro blast right here. It's just a little bit boomy and a little bit bass heavy. So just keep that in mind, Stuart. All right, we'll put this up here. All right, let's keep going. All right, a couple things I'm hearing right away that are a little bit problematic is the drum level's really low. The bass sounds awesome. Man, that is a great, like, heavy rock bass tone. Just chugging. Cutting through the mix really well. Everything sounds good in that in the bass department. The drums are just kind of quiet. It's hard for me to say that they're not punchy and dynamic enough, just because it's a little bit hard to hear them at a louder level. It might just be a simple volume fix, so I would try just bringing your drum volume up. And guys, listen, this goes back to what I say all the time, how important the static mix is. before I start any mix, I will take about like an hour, and I'll go through with no plugins on anything. I'll bring the tracks into the session, and I will spend an hour moving faders around, of course getting my routing sorted out, like if I want to send my drums to a drum bus, take care of all that stuff, but pushing the faders around, making sure that the volume relationship from track to track to track, is good, making panning decisions ahead of time, figuring those sorts of things out. Reason being is when it comes time to start doing processing, especially automation, it's going to be that much more easy for us, just to do a good job. The other thing I'm noticing right here is just the vocal is a little bit on the muddy side. It's a little bit on the, I don't want to say it's muffly, but it's just a little bit dark, and it's a little bit muddy. Okay, let's keep listening and see if it changes.
Burning all my life.
Okay, so what happens here is, as you can basically see on the physical waveform here, it gets louder. I mean, it's a chorus, and I like the fact that it gets louder. But one thing that's bothering me a little bit is while the vocal does clean up, which is great, and we lose a bit of that low end mud that we had towards the beginning of that verse, the vocal just sounds really dry to me. And what that's doing, now listen, dry versus wet vocals, that's a total choice thing. But the problem that I have with dry vocals is when dry vocals distance themselves from the mix, and like the music's here, and then the vocals seem very forward because they're dry. To me, that sounds odd and off. So if you want to do a dry vocal, and I've said this before, use very short reverbs, short delays, just get them so that they move back into the fold of the music a little bit more, right? They don't have to sound wet, but you have to get them wet enough where they move back, right? Because reverb is going to give us some three-dimensionality, depth being one of them, and that's how we push things back, to the background of a mix. So I would definitely do that to the vocal there.
Always believing, still
All right, so I want to talk about the kick drum real quick. Like I said, the volume of the drums is a little. I feel like it could hit harder, especially for this type of music. It could be a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more impactful, a little bit bigger sounding. When there were the what was it back here? You know, those 30-second notes on the kick roll. The kick sounds a little bit basketball-y to me, like kind of if you're bouncing a basketball on a on a gym floor. It's kind of got like a mid hump to it where it doesn't have a whole lot of low end and it doesn't have a whole lot of smack and attack on the on the top end. So that's something you might want to take a look at for the kick. You might want to bring out a little bit more of the lows. You might want to cut a little of the mids, and you might want to add a little 4K or something around the top to get it to smack a little bit. I'm sure I've showed you guys that I love doing that on a 1073. If you don't remember, I'll show you very quickly. I'll use the Waves one. I actually really like the Sheps. I think the UAD sounds better, but it's actually hard to see the numbers on it, so I'm just going to use the Sheps one to show you what I mean. If I can find it, RS Sheps. So check it out, guys. I'll put the high pass filter in on 50 hertz down here. And you can do this on a different Neve, like if you've got a 1081 or if you've got a 33102, I'm sorry, 31102. You can do this similarly, okay? But 50 on the high pass, right? Then I'll go to 35 on the low shelf, boost a little 35. That's gonna bring out some of the bottom. And then on the on this mid band here, I'll usually go to like 4.8 and I'll boost a little 4.8. If the 4.8 sounds a little too high, I'll go down to 3.2. And if the if 4.8 is not high enough, I'll try 7.2. But any of these three will usually work. 4.8 usually does it. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes I'll put a little bit of this 12 dB shelf up here on top. But that's not an always thing. But 50 on the high pass, 35 hertz on the low shelf, boost that a little bit, and then boost a little bit of the 4.8 for some of that smack. And, it really does a nice job on kick drums. I'm a big fan of the way that sounds. So we'll get that out of there, and we'll keep going here. Yeah, those, whatever that is, whatever you got going on there, I don't know if that's like a sample or just completely clipped out and blew out everything. Whatever, like I said, whatever that is, make sure, you got a limiter on there, maybe 2 limiters, whatever. But I would also bring that down a little bit just because it's really, really blowing out the volume. Yeah, love that ending. And I just realized something too. I think I have the name and the band backwards. I think it's Hammer Down by Dark Ride. So, because I think you were saying I'll bring the hammer down in the lyrics. So sorry about that. It was Hammer Down by Dark Ride. But no, listen, overall, solid mix. Let's talk about some things that I really liked in there. I really loved the bass. I thought the bass tone was excellent. It was a fantastic, hard rock bass sound. Very audible, very, very punchy, and, not overtly subby, not overtly, having a finger noise on there or pick noise. Sounded great. I thought the guitar sounded great. So yeah, a little bit of work on the drums, a little bit of work on the vocals, and then on those booms going on there. And I think you got a really great mix there. So big thanks for that. That was Hammer Down by the band Dark Ride, mixed by Stuart Wallace. As always, Stuart, great job, man. Thank you so much for the mix. Moving along. We got a bunch of cool stuff on deck today. Okay. Now we have a song, No Room for Another, by the band Project 64, from my man Liam Hamer. And let's check it out.
Realized I had no answers, and it was all just a matter of time before I saw through the illusion, before the glitter fell to the ground.
All right, let's talk about a couple things real quick. So the vocals to me are sounding pretty crispy. Liam, I know this is something that I've certainly commented on with your mixes before. I know this is your band, but that's a good thing, because that means that it's not, hey, we got to fix this mix. It's, we can go back and re-record some things and try some things. So the one thing I'm hearing with the vocals is that it sounds very crispy, and what I mean by that is typically it's something, thinking of a cheap, monetarily cheap, like a Chinese-made large diaphragm condenser mic. Now, listen, I'm not saying you have to go out and buy a super expensive microphone, but just by listening to the vocal, I could tell that that's a large diaphragm condenser, and the problem with a lot of budget overseas large diaphragm condensers is the capsules are very harsh sounding. They're very crispy sounding. Part of what we pay for in higher end, microphones made in Germany, made in the States, made wherever, is a lot of the attention to detail and how well they build out the capsules. So when you pair a female vocal with a more budget condenser mic, you can get a lot of that harsh sibilance, a lot of that crispiness, a lot of that brightness. So I never like to, say you have to have a piece of gear to do something. There's a couple things that we can do to remedy that. Number one would be to try a different type of microphone. Listen, I'm sure most people have a 57 or a 58, right? An SM57 or an SM58. They're $100 mics and they're great. I don't have one laying around. I've got a couple out on some guitar cabs. But they sound great on vocals. I love 57s on vocals. I could literally make a whole record with a 57, which maybe I should do that one day, like a whole record using one 57 on everything. That'd be kind of fun. But they sound awesome. So what I like about dynamic mics, if I'm having an issue with a condenser mic, is that they sound different, right? Dynamic mics sound different from condensers, which sound different from ribbons, and those are the three basic mic types. And I would say try that maybe on the vocals, since they sound to me a little harsh and a little crispy. Certainly an option. Don't think just because it's a 57 it won't sound good on vocals. I mean, Bono has famously used SM58s in the studio on his vocals. Looking at a microphone, even like an SM7. I mean, you can get an SM7, a Shure SM7 used here in the States on Craigslist or on eBay or wherever. Liam, I think you're over in the UK. But you know, a couple $100, $200 to $250. Another great microphone that I own and love is the Electro Voice RE20, which is another dynamic microphone. Heil makes some really great affordable dynamic mics. So just, you know, there's options out there. The flip side is you can get some cheap ribbon microphones, and ribbons are gonna darken the sound up. They're gonna have a very different characteristic to that. So I implore you to try those things. Now the flip side too is with the condenser mic. There's a lot of stuff you can do with the mic positioning. So check it out, right? Like let's say I'm doing a vocal take and here's my microphone, right? This is a large diaphragm condenser. One thing that I noticed that people do way too often and way too commonly is they get way close up on the mic. Now, you're not going to hear certain sibilant things because I'm running through compressors and channel strips and stuff like that on my vocals right now, but you know, things are usually too close, and the closer we get to the mic, the more sensitive the capsule gets to vocals, right? So the biggest thing you could do to help yourself, move back, right? Move back. Listen to how different my voice sounds back here from how my voice sounds up here, okay? If I say stuff like she sells seashells by the seashore, she sells seashells by the seashore. Big difference in the way the S's sound with the sibilants. I would say just move back on the mic, get off the mic, right? I wouldn't worry about room noise or anything like that. You can hang some blankets around the listening position. You don't need room treatment. You don't need anything. You could go into a closet. If you have like a small walk-in closet with clothes and stuff like that, you can throw the microphone in there, not have to worry about it. Something else that I like a lot too is, what is the name of that company? Hang on. Now I'm curious. I think it's called Real Traps, and I could be wrong. No, I'm right. Okay, so check this out. I'm sure like a lot of you have seen like those SE reflection filters and all that stuff, and I'm not like a massive fan of those. I mean, they're okay. I mean, they're better than nothing, I suppose. But check this thing out. Portable vocal booth. This guy right here. And I guess they make two of these. I mean, they make gobos and stuff like that, but this thing is like super affordable, and I've actually used this before. And it's amazing, like unbelievable. So if you have any issues, you know, any of you guys have any issues with room stuff, recording mics, check it out. I mean, this is basically what you can do. So you attach it to your mic stand here, and you can literally sing anywhere you want in your room. In any room, okay? And you don't have to have any treatment, and it makes it so quiet inside there. The other thing that's very cool is you can throw it around guitar amps. So just like they're doing right here, you know, you can do something similar like that. So I know I went on a bit of a tangent there, down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but I just want to emphasize how important it is to get stuff right when you're recording it, because it makes all the difference when it comes mix time. And it's just something that I've heard in your vocals a lot, Liam, in your band's vocals. So I just wanted to point that out. And you know, don't forget, try some different things with your mic. Like I have this a little off axis the way that my voice is right now. So like this isn't pointed right at my mouth. This is kind of like off. Really, it's pointing like over here. So I'm kind of coming at it this way. All right. So I mean, you could still hear my voice, and it'll still get all of that, the fidelity of it. But, you know, you can try things like that. You know, put it lower, right? Here's the capsule. Put it below the vocalist. Put it above the vocal. You know, try different things. I always say one of the best ways to listen, you know, throw a pair of headphones on, turn up your signal, move around and sing, or, you know, if you're playing an acoustic guitar, just move and just listen to how the mic reacts. To the instrument, whether it's vocals, guitar, whatever you're recording. All right, back to and listen, that'll help anybody out there. If any of you guys are struggling with that stuff, please rewind this, go back, listen to that again. You know, there's some good stuff there, and I think it will help a lot of you.
Now I'm looking past
I would bring the bass down quite a bit. It's just loud. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just loud. I would definitely quite a few dB, 5 dB maybe. The string pads they have going on here, Liam, are overpowering everything. Again, they sound good, they're just loud, so I would bring those down as well. Cool. Nice job, Liam. Definitely, I think that was one of your better mixes that I've heard. Good job. I know I said a few things there, some important things, but nonetheless, don't be discouraged because that was a solid mix. I thought that was definitely one of your better ones. I thought your guitars, they were a little bright, but they weren't as bright and as harsh acoustics. I mean, as I've heard in the past. And as the song progressed and as the band came in, I heard less of the crispiness on the vocals, less of the sibilance on the vocals. Which will happen. So that's okay. And what was the other thing that I was hearing? A couple volume issues, right? So like the bass was a little loud at some parts. The string pads were a little loud. But listen, some easy fixes there. And like I said, go back, check out what I said about the vocal stuff, and take that on board because I'm pretty sure that you have like a 57 lying around or a 58. Try those on the vocals. I think you'll be pretty pleasantly surprised as to how they will sound. Cool. Moving along. Okay, we have I think this is a hip hop tune from this is called, I hope I'm saying this right, Enganao. Enganao. It's either Enganao or Enganao. And this is by Amaral Fortes. Let's check it out.
Pergunta pa dope, se despacha algum low. Pergunta pa cash.
All right, we got big problems here, man. I think well, of course it's clipping. I mean, it's literally blowing out my converters, and you see we got the clip light on. I think I saw the RMS was negative 2.6.
Sinta pega algum low. Pergunta pa bitches. Sinta gira algum low. Kasabi kuseki bu obi di boca di niggas, man sabi me setting no.
So, with an average volume of say negative 3.5 and a peak of around negative 1.5, that means you got a dynamic range of like 2, which is like squished. I said this before about dynamic range. Okay, here's why we need and we want dynamic range in our mixes, our songs, our sessions, is very simply put, it's dynamic range is basically the difference between the quietest part and the loudest part of the mix. So the lower the dynamic range, the lesser the number, like a -2 or a -3, which is insane, that means that the song is going to have basically no variation in volume the whole way across. As an example, amazing records in the, from even the 2000s. I was going to say like the 90s and the, and before that, but -14 on dynamic range, right? Meaning there's a 14 dB difference between the quietest part and the loudest part. Well, here there's like a 2 dB difference. And there's always like, jokes said about Metallica's Death Magnetic and the newest Radiohead record and all that stuff where there was like about the same dynamic range. What that means is that the music doesn't sound exciting because it's like almost monotone because there's like really no difference there. So it's going to be tough to sort of give an objective, view on this mix because of essentially that. I'll do my best and, I'll turn it down, which is basically cheating. But listen, please, guys, be careful. I said this last week, or it was 2 weeks ago, but just be careful of your volumes because, listen, when you're mastering, you can always turn things up, right? And these are mix reviews. So if you guys are sending me stuff that's mastered, I mean, I guess that's okay, but it's a little self-defeating of the purpose, right? So mixes are better because with a mix, you're at a point where it's yet to have gone through that mastering process of volume and, some compression and some EQ and stuff like that. It makes it harder to be objective to the mix. Like I said, I'm going to turn this down because I have to, but it's basically doing a disservice to this. So listen, I want to help you guys and I want to give you guys the best objectivity that I can. And this is just self-defeating. Like it's almost pointless to send me stuff like this. And listen, Amoral, I'm not trying to be like hard on you by any means, and I said this the other week. I'm just I'm just being real with you, and I'm just telling you what I'm hearing, and I'm telling you as a as somebody who cares, you need to get your volume under control. I mean, here's the other thing too, right? Just because you can't necessarily hear clipping sometimes, be it your converters or your channels, doesn't mean it's not happening. It doesn't mean that it's not affecting your music in a negative way. So just keep that in mind. I will turn this down now, and we'll see if we can give it a little bit more objectivity here. Let's go.
It's a thing I know. Franquinha aqui só te enganou. It's a thing I know, man. Franquinha aqui só te enganou. It's a thing I know. Franquinha aqui só te enganou. Quer saber que o sei que vou ouvir de boca de niggas, mas sabe me só te enganou.
With it. I be flipping that dope. I be moving and moving and moving and moving that shit for the low. I be ballin', nah. Parsi me só te enganou. Mano, na cena em modo cash. Bugir a shit é só minhas bro. MOB fuck is roll. Fuck haters, fuck popo. Fuck police, fuck cops, fuck buffy, fuck sabo. Outlaw and you know that everywhere I go. É tipo quando na Amsterdã, my nigga, I be roll. On the best dope.
All right, so with the with those like bass hits where it comes in with the kick and the 808s there, it's just way too bass heavy, and that's a tough thing to deal with. I recently had a mix where there was a sub bass for the bass part, and when I went to go master it, it was just completely falling apart. The bass was like farting out, and it was just flubbing and falling apart when you went to go push the level. It's a really tough thing to achieve and to accomplish. So one way that I sort of combated that was combated. Is that a right word? I'm like, what's the past tense of combat? Combated? Man, every English teacher I ever had probably just cringed or twitched somewhere, and they don't know why. The way that I handled that was by using a high pass filter. And listen, a lot of the times, you know, you might think, oh, I want as much low end as possible. You know, in the club, I want this to bang, or I want this to sound huge on subs, or, you know, so on and so forth. But I'll tell you what, if you can't get it to the volume it needs to be at and still retain that low end, it's just gonna fall apart. So use high pass filters. Take all that 20, you know, you don't really need 20 and 30 and this and that. Make sure you're using multi-band compression. You're handling your low end, compressing your low end, getting it under control. Multi-band limiting, okay, that's very helpful as well. It's one of the toughest things that I've ever personally done in a mix master session, is dealing with low end. Low end is one of the hardest things to get right. So you know, just what I'm hearing here is it's completely out of control, and it needs to kind of get reined in.
That's the best smoke, got the best plug, and the best drug, got the best clothes, and the best hoes. Fuck the rest, yo, my nigga, we the best, yo.
Pergunta pa dope, sin despacha algum en a low. Pergunta pa cash, sin te pega algum en a low. Pergunta pa bitches, sin te gira algum en a low. Ka sabi ku zeki bu obi di boca di niggas, man sabi me se te enganou. Se te enganou, franquinha que se te enganou. Se te enganou, man, franquinha que se te enganou. Se te enganou, franquinha que se te enganou. Ka sabi ku zeki bu obi di boca di niggas, man sabi me se te enganou. Enganou. Bu messi prova, deixa-te aprovou. Te cheira Paul, broco obi flow. Que tem notas, nigga, que tem show. Retifica, webri, hoje é só mentira, nigga, se te enganou. For real, min se pensa blow. Se pa stiva on the low. Niggas messe algum clarividência. Na min coi é nenhuma evidência. Give a fuck pra aquele que se te flow. Bata bem pra cenas da aparência. Brinca, nigga. Boboca ainda tapou na merda. Esse cria bem pão na problema. Foi bitch, cometi nariz na minha cena. Te aplicam, te certifica, monta passa dica. Man repica na bus speakers. Man pulturo tibe escrita. Nada, nunca sei de cozer que se fala. Que sabe cozer que se passa. Muito menos nem quem que se passa. Pergunta pa dope, sin despacha algum en a low. Pergunta pa cash, sin te pega algum en a low. Pergunta sin te gira algum en a low. Que sabe cozer que bu obi di boca di niggas, man sabe me se te enganou. Se te enganou, franquinha que se te enganou. Se te enganou, man, franquinha que se te enganou.
I'll just hear a little bit of low end buildup here. Just kind of sweeping around, seeing if I could hear some specific frequencies that we could clear out.
Se te enganou, me se te enganou.
Gonna go back a little bit. So listen to what I'm doing here, how it's really helping out the low end. So I'm high passing to about 30 here with a 12 dB per octave slope. Taking out a little 200, taking out a little 400, and I feel like that's cleaning up some of the bottom there. You're gonna have to go to the individual tracks, not just on the stereo mix, and do this, but you know, tighten up that bottom and then clear out just a little bit of this low mid buildup.
Pergunta pa cash, sin te pega algum en a low. Pergunta pa bitches, sin te gira algum en a low. Que sabe cozer que bu obi di boca di niggas, man sabe me se te enganou.
So just a little bit of food for thought. So like I said, Amoral, you got a little bit of work to do there. But listen, I want you to know these things, and I want you to hear them and be aware of them. So that, you know, you can learn from it and you can go back, change it, and then not make the same mistake again in the future. Okay. You know, cool tune though. Dug it. But you know, a little bit of work there, a little bit of homework, but that's okay. We learn from our mistakes. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Thank you so much. Cool. Last up here we have, hope I'm saying this right, Gong from Roy Sahadoen. Roy, I'm sorry, man. Like I said, my last name is jacked up, so I can mispronounce last names. It's okay. Yeah, I'm excited to hear this. Let's check it out. I just want to point out something that's in relation to the last tune, and again, I'm not picking on you at all, Amoral. I'm not picking on you. I'm just showing an example. The level that this mix is at, RMS and peak wise, is fantastic. I thought I saw it coming in around -18, -17 RMS, and that's great. Leave lots of headroom, guys. We can always make things louder. So easy to make things louder, not always easier to make things quieter. Okay, so a couple things that I'm hearing right away is we got some low end build-up happening, probably in like the low mids again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and see if we can't clean a little bit of that up and sort of open the mix up a little bit. Sounds like this is gonna be an instrumental, so you know, it's extra important that we get the EQing of these instruments correct, and that we have a really nice overall you know, balance happening here. Cool, so I was just cutting out a little bit of 300 there, and I was actually high passing to 60. There's just not a whole lot of sub lows there, so I wasn't missing anything by taking everything out below 60. All right, cool. That was quick, went by fast. Instrumental tune. Nice job, Roy. So a couple things I was hearing was that there just seemed to be like a and it didn't really work by taking out some what was it, some 300 on the stereo bus. But I was just hearing a lot of a little bit of muddiness and a little bit of boxiness, cardboardiness in some of the instruments. You know, hearing a lot of pads there, some synths, some virtual instruments and stuff like that. So, you know, I would recommend going in there and making sure that you're cleaning up certain frequencies in the low mids and in the mids. Make sure you're careful of EQ masking, okay, with certain virtual instruments or certain instruments basically competing for the same frequency range. I noticed in the beginning here, you know, you've got a synth and it almost sounds like a nylon string guitar. I'm not sure if doesn't sound like a steel string to me, but it sounds like a nylon string guitar. You've got your bass, you've got your synths, and you know, they're all sort of competing for that similar pretty much, anywhere from here to here, you're going to get a lot of stuff, and then you're also going to get some competition going around the low mids. So, yeah, it was cool, and I thought it was a solid job. My biggest thing that I could recommend you do would be to make sure you're not getting that cardboardiness, that boxiness on a lot of those tracks. With virtual instruments, it's tough because they will often come pre-EQ'd, pre-compressed. So like a lot of the sounds that you play, if you're on your MIDI controller, your keyboard or whatever, and you're playing them, they come very specific sounding. So you might have to go back and do a little bit of surgical EQ to them, but that's okay. That's part of the fun. So thank you for that. That was Bang Gong by Roy Sahar, and I appreciate it. So in summation, pretty awesome little Monday here. Had some nice variety. The first one we heard was the song Hammer Down by Dark Ride. That was mixed by Stuart Wallace. Then we had No Room for Another by Project 64, and that was mixed by Liam Hamer. Good job, Liam. Also, good job, Stuart. And then we had Engano from Amaral Fortes. Okay, a little bit of homework for you to do, Amoral, but that's okay, man. If you tweak that and you want me to hear it again, send it over. And then we finished up there with Bang. Let me get the cursor out of the way. Bang Gong by Roy Sahar. So thank you guys so much. Okay, this has been another Mix Critique Monday. Again, guys, all the directions and all the info is below in the description box, if you are so inclined to hit me up with a mix or something like that. But just want to say, as always, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the submissions. I appreciate everybody else watching. I hope you all have an awesome day. Hope you all have an awesome week, and I will catch you next time. See ya.